Welcome to The Point. I'm Eric Mitchell. You know, in a year that we've all heard about small businesses struggling, in fact, Warren Buffett recently came out as of just last week, said that small businesses are in for a hurting coming 2021. What I'm about ready to share with you is it going to make you happy because you work for one of them, or it's going to boil your blood because you're a small business owner.
The chairman says the Paycheck Protection program is critical to help business owners weather the rest of the coronavirus shutdowns.
Particularly, you can take restaurants or gyms or, brick and mortar retail, and we are in the process of dashing the dreams that will in many cases, turn into the employees of thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people later on. And, those people are not in a position to say, well, I'll just take another $25,000 from Grandpa or whoever it may be and start all over again.
Recent report came out that 45 of the 50 biggest U.S. companies turned a profit since March 2020.
The spread of coronavirus has had a devastating impact on many sectors, with some being brought to their knees. But as with any crisis, others are rubbing their hands with glee.
That's right. 2020 has been an awesome year for corporate America. Not so much for the working class here in America, but for corporate America, it was great.
It all depends on how small or large these companies are, and these COVID-19 stocks run the gamut. Take a look at 4 of these just for an example, because they're names that are in the headlines right now.
They turned a profit, they made a lot of money, while, here's another wonderful one to go with it, while nearly 8 million Americans have fallen into poverty since June. Can you believe this?
I can tell you that there's about 60 million people across the United States in poverty right now. As you noted, that's about 8 million more than we had back in April and May.
Many people are asking for additional legislation. We're not ruling that out, but we think we ought to take a pause here.
The failure to act will be far more harmful than acting to solve these problems.
These companies turning a profit, and thank you to the Washington Post for exposing this story. It's unbelievable. 8 million Americans are without work, have fallen into poverty while these brands turn this gigantic profit. Now, it gets better and juicier as we go.
I think the market is overvalued. I think it's almost impossible to predict where consumer and corporate demand is going to come from.
Now, at least 27 of the 50 largest firms held layoffs this year. And collectively, amongst these 50 companies, cutting more than 100,000 workers.
Bills are often due. Millions of Americans now suddenly trying to make a decision. How are they going to pay them? Should they pay them? We remind you that the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, a federal economist, estimated that 47 million Americans could lose their jobs as companies affected by the virus cut their staff.
So people did lose their job. But at least the companies made money, right? At least Stan, we still made money. Those people, they're poor, but hey, we're not. That's how I look at it when these jackasses do this. So this means that there's an increase in poverty this year. And like I said, 8 million people since June are in poverty. This is the single biggest jump ever since the government actually began tracking poverty over 60 years ago.
For the average family of 4, the poverty line is about $28,000 if they live in an average cost city. The poverty line that we use in this study is the one that's preferred by the U.S. government, is called the supplemental poverty measure. So if you live in Silicon Valley, your poverty rate's going to be a little bit higher than if you live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
It's nearly doubled. The next largest rise, which occurred in 1979, 1980, during the last one-term president, was the oil crisis.
Cars consume 30% of America's oil. Because people are not buying big cars, General Motors, the biggest car manufacturer in the world, will cut production this month by 80,000 cars.
There's a crisis of such proportion that we probably haven't even begun to grasp it yet as far as the country is concerned. I have said to myself and to others that this is a Pearl Harbor again as far as the United States is concerned.
It's really hard to read these stats to you guys because we're talking about corporate America making a killing while 8 million Americans have entered poverty. It's unbelievable for those of you stricken. My heart goes out to you guys. You have no idea how hard it is to share this with you because I understand how hard it has to be. So we will continue on here. What makes this worse is that the gap continues and extends from CEOs versus regular consumers. One of the things we found out was CEO confidence in the third quarter of 2020 was 48% higher than at the beginning of 2019. But get this, consumer confidence was 16% lower than it was in January 2019.
It is the weakest since August, when we're at 86.3, and it really shows you that the COVID headlines and the way many states are dealing with new shutdowns and how it's publicized is certainly taking its toll on confidence. And if we look at present situation,
in some cities, it's even worse. In San Francisco, nearly half of all small businesses closed. In Washington, D.C., Portland, Oregon, and San Antonio, over a third remain shuttered.
So what this means is scary. As of this recording, we don't have any bailout in hopes for anybody going in to the end of 2020 and into 21. We haven't reached a compromise. The American people have been ignored. We've talked about it on this show. But the expiration of enhanced employment benefits has played a big part in the poverty spike. It's true. As much as I love Nike, this comment by their CEO, he said, when there are times when the strong can get stronger. He said that is CEO John Donahue said that, Nike CEO, said this in September. I don't know if that's where we want to go with here, Johnny boy. I love your brand, but it really makes me lose faith off of what Phil Knight in his book Shoe Dog talked about. I'm pretty sure, great that profits are there, but how dare you say the strong can get stronger? We have 8 million Americans in poverty. People are living in their cars because they no longer have homes. Everything is failing around us. We can't get the government. The millionaires in Washington haven't decided to sit down and take this serious. Whether it be all of November spent watching Donald Trump lose election after election in court, 1 in 59, 2 times in the Supreme Court, Electoral College went his way, or a pandemic that was ignored, or social justice that's been ignored in our country. We won't even talk about the military and the VA report that has, Dan Crenshaw raping and pillaging whoever the hell he wants to incriminate and destroy a fellow veteran, and the secretary of the VA just committing criminal acts whenever he feels like it. We deal with real numbers and real Americans. Why I share this news with you, I only hope and pray your family is surviving. And if there's a way that we can help you here at To The Point, please message us, and we'd love to point you in the right direction with people that we know who are hiring. I hate to end the show on a somber note, but we will today. So my heart goes out to the families that are affected by this, that started their 2020 well above the poverty line and are finishing it well below. This isn't good news. Normally we'd be excited that these corporate companies did well, but we're not. And to the 100,000 people who lost their jobs so these CEOs can line their pockets and get fatter, it's disappointing. That's all I have for you folks today. As always, make sure you smash that subscribe button and follow us on social media, and make sure that you watch the next show that comes up in the series that we have going on here. As always, I'm Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be strong, be smart.